Hello and welcome to the North Bank podcast. I'm your host, Ollie. I'm joined by Stef and Chris. Hello, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Well, look, we're recording this on Monday evening. The transfer window shut about an hour and a half ago from the time we're recording this. We will reflect on that in the second part of this show. The first part, though, we shall enthusiastically devote to looking back at yesterday's, frustrating, I think is the best word I can conjure to describe accurately my feelings now and my feelings watching the game, certainly second half yesterday. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of team selections and patterns of play and first half, second half and so on, Steph, you went to the game. It was your first away game of the season. How was the experience? I know you travelled there with a bit of a back issue. How did that impede you? I mean, we didn't have too much to jump up and down about in the game, so possibly the team were looking out for you, your well-being. It's very kind of them.
Yeah, the back is marginally better today, but I am absolutely dosed up on painkillers. Yeah, it wasn't overly fun going all the way. The comfiest place that I had was the minibus. So 4 hours there, 4 hours back was actually quite all right because just sat in one position, I was okay. It was when I was having to move around that was the problem. Look, it was fine. It was a good day out. It was nice to be back into that routine. It's always quite fun and exciting to go to away grounds, and it was a big game early in the season, which is why you use the word frustration. The word that I keep coming up with is disappointing, just generally, because it was, even as a neutral, it was quite a disappointing game. Like it reminded me of that Benitez Mourinho era when the top teams would face each other and sort of cancel each other out a little bit. The defences definitely had the better of the day, and when it's a game like that, it does take one moment of something, really good to make the difference, as Slot and Arteta both alluded to in their comments.
We'll go into how you help facilitate that piece of magic falling your way and not the other way, perhaps. Chris, what's your kind of overriding sense 24 hours later? I mean, without going into the specifics, just like kind of your feeling.
I suppose a missed opportunity is what I'm left with right now, a sense that we could have taken it to them a bit more. I mean, at the time, I was more what we have, we hold kind of attitude, and let's get through this, all things considered. But today, on reflection, missed opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, I've been irritable all day, and there's one reason for that. You said missed opportunity. It's the familiarity of it again. It's like, here we are again, bemoaning. Well, here I am again, certainly, because maybe out of the three of us, I'm a little bit more vocal in terms of my scrutiny of Arteta's in-game decision-making. And I felt again, look, I'm not happy that he chose Mourinho over Ranieri, or in particular Eze, in that role. I know Eze came on for Martinelli, but I would have started him in place of Mourinho. Chris, you said straight away, as soon as that team was announced, where's the link between midfield and attack? And that's exactly how it played out.
Yeah.
But then after watching that first half, you have to make a change at half time. You have to bring Eze on for Martinelli, who was, I mean, it's quite sad to see.
Can I just chuck in there, just as a sort of balance? In a way, Arteta may have felt vindicated in the setup because we nullified Liverpool so well in that first half. I mean, up to like the 50-odd, 60-minute mark, that he will have felt justified in, well, I've chosen this setup. We were beasting them in midfield. You and I were relatively positive. I say relatively, but it was the case of, when do you then flick the switch and kind of go into overdrive and realise you have an opportunity? And I think that's the crux of this now, is we held them off, we nullified them, we dulled the crowd. I mean, Steph, I don't know how it felt, you being there, but for me watching, I just thought, let's just carry on like this until we feel the opportunity is right to kind of move up a gear.
In the stadium, it it was more about moments. I think for us, and this is why I love being in the ground always more than perhaps watching on telly, because on telly you can probably see more of a wider overview of the momentum and the dynamic shift in a game, whereas we are kind of zoomed in on particular moments. So the thing that stuck out for us and that seemed to generate the most comment from fans in the away end was when we could see whether we turned the ball over and won possession from them, or if we'd built into a certain position that there was a pass on, or there was a run to be made and it wasn't necessarily taken. It felt like there were a couple of opportunities where we could have gone for the jugular and been more direct, and we sort of didn't. Whether that's the players...
Yeah,
well, this is it.
That?
We won't know because we're not privy to the detailed instructions. But
can I suggest that it's Arteta because he picked the team, and you play Marino? What message is that sending to the team over Eze?
Yeah, but when I think of the players for whom those moments occurred, really the ones that stand out would be Martinelli, obviously, and Madueke. Marino for me was an interesting one because I don't know, he just didn't stand out in particularly much that he did. I'm sure he was combative, and I'm sure he did some nice little things, but nothing that I particularly noticed. I said in our preview pod, because I was predicting Arteta's team, if Odegaard was fit, he would have started. He had one training session, so they decided, okay, we'll just save you last 20 minutes. It felt very orchestrated, the fact that he brought him on when he did. And I said, if it's Arteta's team, he picks Marino because he wants to dominate that midfield and make it more competitive. I said, if I was picking the team, go with Nwaneri. He's just played. All right, it's at home against Leeds. I get that, but it was for a long game and we kept control from that moment. He kept the ball and he's just more attack-minded, more dynamic, can dribble. It just offers you a little bit more. And I felt, why could Zubimendi and Rice have marshalled the midfield as well? Sure, yeah, absolutely right. Could Calafiori and Timber have also pitched in with doing that? Yes, absolutely. I think there's enough of a foundation there. You don't need to add in Marino as well.
I'm changing colour as I'm listening to you speak. Right?
Why?
Because I agree.
Oh,
like there was no need.
Fine.
There was no need. It heightens my own sense of frustration opportunity missed. Play Eze, and I wouldn't play him at Nwaneri. I'd have played Eze. Eze, who's played Liverpool 3 times in his last 4 games, has scored 2 goals, beaten them twice. Right? I'd have played Eze there. What a message. He's gone safety first. And he's gone with, fine, do Martinelli safety first. I said straight away after Martinelli was overlooked by 4 other players against Leeds that he will still start against Liverpool in the next game. I knew he would for his defensive qualities. Okay? But what a message.
I want to come back to Martinelli.
Arteta has chosen... Arteta talks about being brave a lot in his players. He wasn't brave as a manager in that game at any point. Bringing Diamond on for at the end, utterly ridiculous when Nwaneri's on the bench in the same position that Nwaneri scored 9 goals in last season, and he brings Diamond on. And I'm a huge advocate of Max Diamond, but that was not the time to indulge a little fantasy or romantic fantasy he might have about the 15-year-old scoring an equaliser or whatever. Nwaneri should have come on. I'm also curious as to why. I went back and I assumed we'd already made 5 substitutes because Timber could barely walk for the last 10 minutes. He was playing up front.
We'd made 4 substitutes across 3 opportunities.
Right.
So we couldn't make another one.
Right. So even more frustrating then that Saliba picked up an injury in the warm-up and he made the clearance. I don't know if I messaged the group. He made a clearance in the first minute and he winced. I could see it. And I knew nothing...
Straight away in the away.
I knew nothing about this warm-up injury. And he has to come up after 4 minutes. I don't care if he's told you he's fit. Get him off. Don't start him. You've risked the player. You've wasted a substitution, which cost us. We're playing with 10 men at the end, Timber. So He's gone for the dual monster over the Eze, over the Maverick player. And that's an Arteta issue. And that's a problem that's costing us points. Cost us points last season, more than one occasion. And look, we could well have played Eze and lost the game. But you know what? At least I wouldn't be feeling that was a missed opportunity. At least I wouldn't be thinking, I wouldn't be frustrated thinking, here we are again, this familiar sense of caution that Arteta seems to obsess over. He talks about unpredictability and bravery on the pitch. Well, that starts with you, fella. Mourinho instead of Arteta, instead of Eze or Nwaneri is the opposite of bravery and unpredictability. As you said, there was no need for Mourinho there in midfield.
I'll just chip it. I mean, I kind of agree. I just think, rather than this descend into too much of an echo chamber, I would say what he is probably thinking is Ødegaard can't do the full 90. Eze's just come in. He doesn't know, the intricacies of our play. Marino's come in. I know he can do a job there. He's held them at bay for 50-odd minutes with that three in midfield. The substitutions came before they scored their goal, so he would argue maybe I did make a change for the positive.
The momentum had changed, though.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm just trying to offer something different as a kind of, because otherwise we'll just sit here nodding. Yeah. That maybe this is where Arteta is coming from, in that I didn't want to blood Eze too big. And he makes a big deal of Anfield, as we know, with the speakers on the training ground and everything. He makes such a big deal of Anfield, maybe from being an Evertonian, I don't know. It's almost like whatever you think of that speakers on the pitch thing, I worry that he's so, it's like awestruck by the place that he kind of emits that to the players rather than just go, look, yes, it's Liverpool, but it's just another game. Let's just stick to our game plan. We're the Arsenal, rather than be too intimidated, which I feel happens whenever we go there.
That said, as much as we were disappointed at the time, everyone was quite self-reflective, an hour or two later when we're driving away and just sort of thinking about it, going, this was a tight game. And it was then surprising when I wake up this morning and see a lot of the rhetoric, whether it's newspapers, I'm trawling, sports pages and things like that, and just seeing what's on social media, that a lot of the rhetoric is about how we approach the game. Now, we're talking about how we approach the game because we're an Arsenal podcast. Liverpool are the champions at home. The onus isn't necessarily on us to go and chase the game. So I think that's why I think for a start, you could be right, Chris, in terms of for 60 minutes, don't go out and try and win the game and end up losing it. Let's make it tough. Let's make it, difficult for them, because they're the champions who have spent 200 million on attacking talent, who have got the crowd whipped up and they're all buoyant because they're able to shout champions, champions at us because we finished second again and all that. There's all that narrative in there. So go for an hour, just hold your own, nullify them, which we absolutely did, by the way. Salah wasn't really in the game. Ekitike slightly lively. Gakpo seemed to be their best striker, and you'd argue on paper he's the third best striker on the pitch. We really held our own and were really good, albeit not creating a huge amount ourselves. But like I say, I just found it weird that the onus was suddenly on us to turn into the entertainers. And I said on the preview pod that, look, I've been to Anfield before when we've thrown caution to the wind and just gone out to attack, and I'd been absolutely embarrassed. We shouldn't be embarrassed by yesterday, but like you say, those fine margins, that little shift in mentality and how we approach the game, that could be the difference, because we are so solid.
In-game.
Yeah, that keeper, that back four, and Zubimendi and Rice should be more than enough to cover. But three forwards like Madueke, Gyökeres and Martinelli, especially a Martinelli that's playing better defensively than he is in attack, more on that, I'm sure, needs something. Like you said, Chris, needs something. There's got to be a link there somewhere, someone to get their foot on the ball, make it happen.
Can I just say that narrative has been pushed by Sky and Neville and Carragher?
Well, of course it has.
And
Mentality.
Jan Arga Fjord, what's his name? Jan Arga Fjord. I follow him on Twitter. He said one team came to win the game. Well, that's utter nonsense. Liverpool, and Arne Slot, in his defence, said exactly the same thing. Yes. He said, we were way too open against Bournemouth. We decided to make this game boring. We wanted to tighten up. He said that.
I was struck by this quote. He said, look, you play that game 10 times in the same way, 8 draws, we'll win 1 and they'll win 1. Yeah. Because we got it today with one moment of magic. You could play one game where they have that moment of magic, but the rest would probably be all draws.
Yeah.
And he said that's fine. 2 top teams going at it.
So that narrative that Liverpool were the only team looking to win the game is utter nonsense. It's ridiculous. And that's so I'm as critical as I am of Arteta in terms of his capacity, reluctance, resistance, whatever it is, to impact the game in an attacking sense. Once you see, an hour, you said, yeah, fine. I mean, I'd have personally hooked Martinelli at half-time and brought Eze on at half-time. I think
would most of the away end.
Yeah, well, absolutely. So, and again, why not do that? But again, he's just too cautious, and he needs to get that. He's now got a squad that provides him with zero excuse not to use, because Mosquera was absolutely superb after his first 5 minutes. He was brilliant. Madueke was our biggest threat. His speed is ridiculous, and he had an end product. He found he found a man. He had a shot. It was blocked, whatever. But there was an outcome each time. There was that danger was there. He had Kirkes on toast, but he just wasn't fed often enough. Gyökeres was pretty poor. It's
a lot to do with the service, though.
He requires service.
He's only ever going to be as good as what he's served up. Yeah.
And again, so Arteta's done him no favours whatsoever there. And again, if you just, I've got a few of the stats for the game itself, but the one stat that I keep highlighting when we do these post-match reviews. So Liverpool's XG was 0.45, ours was 0.55. This is according to the BBC. I have seen slightly differing views there where Liverpool's XG was a little bit higher than ours. But again, you're talking about fine margins. But the key one is XG from open play. We create very little. Liverpool's XG from open play is 0.39. Ours was 0.33. Our XG from open play over our first 3 games this season is 1.57. Now, you could argue Old Trafford and Anfield, that will impact that XG. Of course it will. But there is home to a promoted team in there as well. Our XG from open play across 3 games of football is 1.57. You can't say it's the players, because we've got such high quality attacking players who have been on the field. It's got to be instruction. And he needs to rid himself of these shackles. He's built an incredibly solid unit defensively and in midfield, where, by the way, we take a lot of risk. If we mirrored in our attacking third the risk we take in our defensive third, we would be tearing teams apart.
I've said this many times, but for me it's this idea that we overturn the opposition in our half, for example, and instead of trying to break while they don't have as many people in defensive position, we almost give them an opportunity to reset. And I said it last season, I think I said it the season before as well, that there's a mindset and a kind of, what do you call it, an ideology in modern coaching about trying to reduce the amount of risk that you get from the opposition. So by allowing them to all get back defensively, they're further away from your goal. So if you then lose the ball, well, they've got to get more of their foot. And I just, something needs to change with this, because, again, it was mainly the wingers. Madueke did it maybe once, and Martinelli certainly did it at one point, which seemed to turn everyone against him. where instead of going for the jugular and just running the channel or taking on their man, they turn back. And I don't know, it's just so frustrating.
Do you know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you're a tennis fan, but back when Sampras and even Henman were at their pomp, the serve volley game in tennis was very much like, it was like this routine that everyone had to follow, otherwise you'd lose, because that was kind of how the game was played.
Yeah.
And it went through a kind of, and it took time for the game to kind of evolve past it and go back to a more natural kind of baseline game. And it feels like we're in this now where the top teams do exactly that, Steph, is like the safety first, allowing the opposition to almost reset, because you don't want to get countered on when they've got six men in your half. And so I don't know, will we evolve past it is the question.
I don't see why we can't, because like you said, Holly, we have the players. Saliba, although he went off injured, but even Mosquera, who replaced him yesterday, Gabriel, Timber, Calafiori, who really impressed me against Salah. Those players seem like they can deal with those pressure situations. There's that wonderful mock Adidas advert that someone made about Declan Rice. Do you remember when we played Liverpool, like after when he signed in our first season, and there was like 7 Liverpool players and Declan Rice? Our players will cope with that pressure, and we've now got some attacking players who could put that pressure onto opposition. Van Dijk doesn't want Madueke and Gyökeres running at him. Konate certainly doesn't want Martinelli and Gyökeres running at him, but we didn't as much. One other thing that I picked up on that was said afterwards, it was Gravenbach in a post-match interview, basically revealed the tweak that they made that seemed to wrestle back the momentum in the second half. Because it felt like we had probably edged it in the first half, sure, without creating a huge amount of chances. But in the second half, momentum really did seem like it fell to them. And he basically said, well, we realised that Szoboszlai, who was playing at right back, we could allow him to step into midfield because Konate could cover Martinelli because they weren't scared. They realised they weren't scared. Martinelli was going to be more concerned about his defending duties, or just wasn't going to offer as much that going forward. And, I mean, it was there. It was there to see.
Well, we can see it every game.
Every game. And like you say, it's the familiarity. Do something different. I wouldn't have been disappointed if yesterday something he did was similar to last season, where maybe Gyökeres comes off, Martinelli goes in the middle. Because Van Dijk and Konate, they want a tussle. And Gyökeres was happy to give it to them, and he kept, losing in those tussles. Martinelli wants the ball in the channel, running around, darting around them. He wants to be a busy little, Speedy Gonzalez type character, which they don't want. Van Dijk's, quick, but he's not the quickest in the world. So do something different. Just do something different.
Eze had that one chance.
He looked all right.
I was
put your laces through it. God's sake.
I wanted him to take the shot on.
He was inviting the contact, wasn't he?
Yeah, but again, he should have been on earlier, and I will be very surprised. And again, injuries aside, if Martinelli finds himself in a starting 11 before a League Cup match, that I would be very surprised if he does. I think you got Madueke, you got Eze to start ahead of him. Yeah. We've got City at home, haven't we? I can't even see him. Yeah, I can't see him.
I think that's the blueprint for those top 6 teams. It's to have a Martinelli who offers another speedy, busy player when trying to win the ball back.
Do you think that Arteta went up against, we've got Forest, Man City and Newcastle in the next 3 league games. Do you think, let's assume Saka's fit back again, okay, because it might not be the Forest game, but he should be back following the timeline for the Newcastle, for the Man City and Newcastle games. So let's say Saka is fit and available, and we haven't picked up any more injuries. Do you think Martinelli starts those games against Newcastle and Man City?
It would be touch and go. It would depend what Eze does and where he plays him. I think it would be more likely against Man City, but maybe not Newcastle, especially now Newcastle have lost Isak. And Gordon will be back running.
Yeah, he's back for our game, obviously.
Yeah,
Chris, do you think Martinelli will play?
No, Eze starts for me in his position. He's tried to play him into form, maybe, but he's just it's plateaued, and now he's gone down. That's what I fear.
He's regressing.
Yesterday was sad to see the lack of. I mean, his head was down. There was an opportunity to pass, and those things. Is the coaching not getting through to him? What is it that it's just there's a block there? That he was running in the same channel as Gyökeres at one point. I thought, what are you doing? You were braking, and you're running in exactly the same line as Gyökeres. You have to go wide, create some space. But yeah. I think Eze takes over from here on.
But to counter that, I don't think that's how it will be seen. Because we said earlier that actually that first hour and trying to stifle Liverpool, Martinelli was part of that. Yes, off we're seeing. What? Yeah, off the ball, out of possession, winning the ball back, turning the ball over. Well, that's what they'll see.
If that's the case, then that's a problem.
If that
is the case, Arteta's not the man for the job.
I'm just saying, but that's how they'll see it. Against certain opposition, the likes of Man City, Liverpool away and all that, against that, that's the attribute that they're probably going to look for. Because they know on the right, if it's Saka or Madueke, they are much more forward-thinking.
But, okay.
It's not enough, though, is it?
I know it's not enough. But I'm not saying that's what I would do, but I'm sure that's how they're thinking.
Isn't that just discounting any defensive capability that someone like Eze has or Madueke has? You know, it's that's assuming that they going to do a Salah and just not track back at all.
I think it's more. I think they will track back. I think it's purely because of his pace and his speed of recovery.
He's not faster than Madueke.
No, but maybe he is more defensive minded than Madueke.
Yeah.
Madueke may not anticipate it in the same way.
And our defence and two midfield pivots in Rice and Zubimendi are more than capable of dealing with any opposition threat from any team without having to add in a Marino in front of them and a Martinelli on the left-hand side. It's uber conservative and cautious, and it's not us. We don't have the players for that. Sorry, we've got the players for that. He picks them. But we've now got an alternative. We've got an Eze and a Madueke with a Gyökeres through the middle. You know, we've got a different way of setting up, just in an attacking sense.
I wonder how much of it also comes into the fact that Martinelli has been a player that's been with him the whole time, who he trusts, and yeah, that emotional factor, that loyalty factor, those sorts of things might come into it as well. And like I say, it's only for certain games. You know, the fact that he wasn't there against Leeds, you know, probably, and then came in for the Liverpool game, for me, that says where their head is at for those bigger clashes.
Do you think that needs to change? Can we win the league if he maintains that mindset?
Well, I think it's one or the other. Look, I don't mind. Look, Liverpool have got Salah on that side. He's the best attacker, and he's predominantly left-sided, right-sided on their side of the pitch. So playing Martinelli alongside whoever our left-back is at that time sort of makes sense. If you were comparing it, you know, against Forest, I don't think that's going to come into your way of thinking. Yes, they've got someone like Callum Hudson-Odoi probably, okay, but it's not the same level. So by all means, you know, do something different. Where else are we going? We're going to, I mean, Gordon plays predominantly on the left, so Martinelli's not going to be there. But if you're doing that, that's where I think the Marino change needs to happen. Because then we need a link-up player on the right, because otherwise Madueke's, you know, not really linking up with anything and nothing's really happening. So it's one or the other. I think to do both was to really nullify us. To do one, you know, could be explained away, maybe. I don't know.
Chris, anything else to pontificate over after the...
I suppose I suppose the what if it ended 0-0, would we still feel quite as sore? Obviously not from the result point of view, but would we still be bemoaning a missed opportunity? Or would we think, that was a good point?
I think there would be more of a balance, obviously, because we'd have. My issue is that's Liverpool without playing well, 9 points from 9, having scored winners in the 88th, 100th, and 83rd minutes in games. So there's a double whammy there. We've not gained any points, but we've not taken any points off them. So I think it would be like, oh God, we could have won that game, but at least we didn't lose it. That would be my takeaway. So there would still be the what if, that sense of missed opportunity about it, but it wouldn't be as acute as it is now, because whatever game plan Arteta set out with, it failed. I don't care his fine margins, bollocks. We've got 0 points. I don't care it was an absolute worldie that goes in once every 100 attempts. I don't care about that. Fact is, it went in. We got 0 points again. It's like it failed. Whatever way you set out, mate, it didn't work because we didn't get the win that you claimed we were going for, and we didn't get the draw that would have been a compensatory point. So, what about you?
I still would have been disappointed, very much so. Only in the sense that even when we were delivering that performance we did in the first hour, there were still opportunities to get at Liverpool. Like you say, Kirkes was a little bit more rash. He felt so much more comfortable when suddenly a 15-year-old was on the pitch. He got emboldened by the fact. So we let him off the hook there. And like you say, Martinelli's just his forward thinking, his attacking sense just seems
he's a busted flush,
just to evaporated. So, it is disappointing because we know we should be able to do better. Can I ask about the goal? Because again, we are the other end of the pitch. First of all, I feel like it's a bit of a stupid foul to make. He's not going to get an immediate shot away, but if he does, it's from distance, and you would like to back Raya in that situation. But anyway, the foul's been given away. Guy next to me, Dave, who I travel up with, said, "Why is Raya stood all the way over there?" And then he said, and I thought, okay, well, he's probably just setting his wall, and he's got to cover that side. It's probably further out than we think it is. But then he said, do you remember that free kick that Bruno Fernandes took for Man United, where Raya was stood quite far one way and he just put it on the other side? I was like, oh, yeah. So to us, in the ground at the time, we're all thinking, wow, that was a really soft free kick. You could see it coming from literally, we had the perfect view. Raya's not going to be able to get over there. So if he puts it there, it's a goal. And he did. And then all of a sudden we stick the radio on and everyone's talking about this worldie of a free kick.
At the point the ball was struck, Raya was in the middle of the goal.
Right. Okay.
And he was moving in the right direction as well. Okay. There's nothing you can do. That was an unsavable shot. There was no. He did start further over that side, but that's just to give him a better eye line on the ball and the wall and the players run up. But by the time the ball was struck, Raya's in the centre of the goal and moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
So his momentum wasn't checked. And he did. I mean, I thought it was an excellent effort from him, considering it went at such speed and went in off the post.
Right.
If you see slow mo on it, you'd probably get a piece of paper between the tip of Raya's glove and the ball. I mean, you couldn't have physically positioned the ball any better. Had you carried it there? Again, that's. Well, Chris, you saw what I saw. So what's your take on that?
No, exactly that. He was moving in the right direction. It was just the positioning of it. He couldn't really have done it. Had he been a foot taller, perhaps?
Yeah, his arm a little bit longer.
Yeah, no, it's unsavable. But like you said, it had to take something like that to win the game.
But I think I've said this quite often to you, Chris, on the WhatsApp group yesterday as well. If we don't go, and this is when it was still 0-0, if we don't go for it a little bit more, what we have, we hold, we always leave ourselves open to, the way I put it, like I didn't actually say something world class. I said like a mistake or a VAR or like an officiating cock up. Yeah. Officials are very good yesterday, by the way. I thought they were very good. The Liverpool crowd, Steph, you may have noticed, were on the case of the referee, but I actually thought he was decent, and I'm quick to criticise, but I thought he was.
There was
pretty good.
no controversy in the game.
Yeah,
Really, yeah, even from us.
So Chris, I was saying is like, as long as it stays 0-0, you don't buy yourself the buffer of a goal or whatever, then a world-class strike is going to cost you. But you can't legislate for that. But
just to try and end on a positive, it's probably the fact of the free kick and the manner in which it was scored, and the fact that the game was so close, we're away at the champions, is why I'm not getting angry. But like you say, the frustration is that it's nearly there, and there's
it's
just
familiar.
a few inches to sort of go. And like you say, it is a place. I mean, we haven't won at Anfield in
12 years.
12 years, exactly. So the idea that, okay, we've bought one or two players, all of a sudden we're going to go there when they're the champions and they've added more quality to their team who won the league is probably a bit optimistic. But I don't know.
But then watch the game and you see a different story. You don't see an imbalance between, or an inequality, or an inferiority complex from us towards them. We were pretty dominant, but we just control.
We didn't smell the blood and use a bit of initiative and say, let's go for it, I guess.
Do you think that result? I think the other reason why I'm not angry, I'm irritable, which isn't quite anger, and I'm frustrated, but I can mitigate it with the fact it's only the third game. We've got the win at Old Trafford, which was a worry, especially having played the way we did. We hammered Leeds, which we were expected to do. We should have done it, and that was good. Third game, that's not critical. That's not terminal by any stretch. There's loads of time left and so on, and it's out of the way. Can you imagine that game, that performance in March or April, when it would be terminal? It would be like, oh, okay, we bottled it.
I've also seen. I mean, Liverpool didn't win at our place last season, did they?
Oh yeah, that's that. Yeah.
So there's
I meant to write it down.
Sorry. There's this idea that whoever wins doesn't necessarily have to win at their nearest
Gary
rival.
Neville officially gone back to my feelings that I had about him when he was a Manchester United player. There's the old Holly bingo again. He banged on about, if Arsenal want to be champions, they've got to win at Anfield. In fact, there's a stat, and it's something like 5 of the last 20 champions haven't won at Anfield, and 5 of the last 20 champions have won at Anfield. 2 of the last 20 champions have won at the reigning champions.
Yeah.
It's something. It's like, actually, no, you don't. In fact, the opposite is more the case.
Is it right? Pep's only won there once, or something ridiculous.
Something like that. There you go.
So it's like you say, it's not terminal, just frustrating, disappointing.
And then we've got to wait 2 weeks before we can correct it. And God knows how many of our players will have fallen by the wayside on their international breaks in the meantime. At least Saliba's not probably, I'm assuming, going with the France squad now.
Better not.
And Ødegaard will be going with Norway, and he'll probably play every minute, but there you go. Saka's not gone, so Havertz isn't gone, but they still can't play for us.
Gyökeres will be good for him to get some minutes. Competitive minutes.
Well, get his fitness up as well.
Be awful if Isak was injured for Sweden, wouldn't it?
Okay, right, nice, Steph. You've allowed me a nice little segue into the transfer window, and I just want to say at the outset, I can't believe that's another bloody transfer window that's passed us by, and we've done nothing.
You've been wanting to say that all day.
I've been dying to say that. I wanted to open with that, but I thought, no, we're going to talk about Liverpool first. I can't say that. We've been pretty, active. We've signed 8 players. We've released or sold 11 players. Piero Hincapié from Leverkusen, first Ecuadorian to play for the club. He's officially been revealed wearing number 5 shirt for us this season. I think he's an excellent... I mean, look, 10 out of 10 for our signings. I have to say that. And we've seen all of them bar Kepa and Norgard play. And Mosquera was superb yesterday and when he came on against Leeds, but you can't really judge him on that. But to come on after 4 minutes at Anfield, at the reigning champions, that's pretty impressive. And then I have to keep reminding myself that he's played 70 games in La Liga. He's 21, but he's not a novice. He's not inexperienced. He's very experienced, and it shows. And he looks like some player. Like,
what a bargain! Jeez,
I know, it's like quite exciting to see how good he is, and does not completely nullify. That's wrong, but assuage the panic that we might feel ordinarily with the Saliba injury when we know that this fella can come in and play like that at Anfield in that emotive cauldron. Go on, Steph.
I just want to. I don't want any more injuries, though.
No, I'm
yes,
not.
we've got cover. It doesn't mean that I want us to use it all the time.
Yeah. Because, Havertz and Ben White and Saka and Erdegaard weren't fit to start the game, and Saliba we lost after 4 minutes. But our signings, Norgard, captain of Brentford, pretty confident. He'll do a job when he's called upon. He's obviously injured at the moment. Forgot about adding him to the list.
Obviously.
Kepa, excellent number 2. He'll get his first run out in the League Cup, presumably. No issues with after the season he had for Bournemouth. I've got no issues with Kepa coming in. So I don't want. That's not me saying I want Raya to get injured. I do not. I think Raya is along with Alisson, the 2 best goalkeepers in the league, without a doubt. I think he's superb. So our incomings have been stellar, and Nkapie today allows a different way of playing on the left-hand side. We bemoan constantly our left-hand side in an attacking sense. He offers more width than in terms of an overlapping fullback. He's not a giant, but he's 5'11". He's a giant to me. So that should be on the Holly bingo as well. Some like kind of short man issue. But with Eze in the team, who maybe likes to drift in, then that allows him to dovetail quite nicely with him as another or an alternative approach to our attack. Again, creating a scenario whereby the opposition defensive holding midfielder, Gravenberch in your case, Steph, it doesn't kind of reveal that the one weakness in our team is Martinelli and is cleared for any opposition to see. And they do a little tweak and all of a sudden the whole momentum shifts in a game, in a big game, fine margins and all that. And Arteta will know that. So, on him if he continues to pick him. Anyway, our outgoings, we've got rid of 11 players until I'm not going to run through the list, but today we saw Lokonga and Vieira both move to Hamburg. Vieira's on loan, no obligation. There is an option to buy at 20 million, but that's not worth the paper it's written on. They're not going to do it. No. I think it's a £4 or £5 million loan fee or something like that. And Lokonga, I haven't had it confirmed. It may well have been since we started recording, but he's a permanent transfer, and the fee I heard was 10 million, which I actually think's quite decent for Lokonga. 10 million, I'd take that. I know it's a loss on what we bought him for, but we paid 17 million for him. It's like you take your chance with that. It's a bit of a gamble, but and again, I think there's a decent player there with injury issues, and good luck to both of those. Kivy obviously went to Porto, and Reece Nelson's gone to Brentford. Straight loan. No, I mean, there'll be a loan fee, I assume, but they'll pay his wages. It's not a permanent transfer. We are still crap at selling tabs. But
I don't get it for these players. Lokonga's 25, Nelson's 25, and I'm only left with the feeling that it is the money they're on at Arsenal and the comfort that offers them. I find it odd because now they're being superseded by players who are 10 years younger than them and they're 25. It's just mad. It's like, I don't see what the long-term outcome is. You're basically going to see out your contract and then get your move because no one will pay a fee and you'll be able to sustain your wages. And it's such a frustrating thing to see. And we haven't even mentioned Zinchenko.
Chelsea's an interesting yardstick because we all laughed at these 8-9 year contracts we threw at them, but that enabled them to have a lower weekly or monthly wage bill, and they're shifting players like Nicholas Jackson to Bayern Munich for 70 million. A bloke called Tyreek George, I think I might have seen him once.
He came on at Chelsea at the weekend.
Fulham have just paid £22 million for him.
Yeah.
Like, Chelsea have sold £300 million worth of talent, and I know there are certain caveats there, but they've still done it. Bayern Munich aren't in Chelsea's pocket. Fulham aren't in Chelsea's pocket. And 70 million for Jackson and 22 million for Tyreek George. I mean, someone tweeted, I think it was LeGrove, do you think we could pay Chelsea a 10% commission to sell our players? I thought it was really quite funny because funny, not funny, like funny, but
I mean, you might be right in the sense that perhaps they have sussed out something with these very, very long-term contracts, amortised over a long time, meaning that you have better selling power in the short term, but at the same time, you could be stuffed with a player in the long term. If that player gets an injury and you can't sell, and whereas Arsenal are still operating in that older fashioned sort of mindset where a player has a handful of years that you can, happily support, and as long as they keep delivering, and if not, then, negotiations kind of go from there. I don't know. But wasn't there, I'm nowhere near an expert in this, but I thought something changed where those kind of contracts were now limited under PSR?
No, they can only limit to the 5 years that they put on the books.
Right, okay.
But their contracts are still 7 and 8 years long.
Yeah. Right.
So again, the accountancy of it, I'm not.
And also, we are seeing a number of good, a bit like a gambler only tells you about the ones where they win. I'm sure there are plenty of deals and youth players going in and out of Chelsea where they're losing money, let alone the number of players they're still going to have kicking around. Yeah. That are going to
name the main one.
Raheem Sterling.
He's still there.
I'm sure he is.
So just to illustrate your point.
Yeah. So there's pros and cons to this whole thing, and I think I'm not sure that Chelsea are the yardstick to compare to because we're not operating in that same fashion. Liverpool are probably the closest in terms of how they sort of do their business, and yet they're still selling a number of players.
Yes, they are.
Surprising amounts of fees.
And Liverpool cannot claim any underdog status from this point forward. They were very judgmental and critical of the way Man City went about their business. Now, for other reasons perhaps, but they're outspending Man City in the last number of years now as well. So
there's a funny joke and meme doing the rounds that some Liverpool fans still say that they're spending the Coutinho money that they got. And lots of people have been doing the calculations going, wow, you got like 1.2 billion pounds for Coutinho, did you?
Just the kind of most recent or the latest breaking news after the window shut now just over 2 hours ago was that obviously Isak I think has been confirmed. I haven't seen it yet, but we're assuming that's gone ahead. 125 million plus 5 million loyalty thing. I don't know whether that comes from Isak himself. I don't know. I didn't understand that. But
a loyalty fee for a player who went on strike.
Oh,
yeah. Nice.
But Mark Gay, probably arguably the more important of the two that Liverpool, should have.
In terms of balance, certainly.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I laugh. Just think, Steph, if Liverpool get an injury to Van Dijk, I'm like, hang on, injury? What is this thing you speak of for Liverpool?
Liverpool
Surely
don't
not.
Get injuries.
But yes, I mean, I was quite delighted when I saw Mark Gay to Liverpool collapsed. serves Liverpool right for leaving it till the last minute. I mean, it always puzzles me why so many clubs do leave things to the last minute, but the amount was 35 million. I think that 3 weeks ago it was 35 million, so there was nothing to be gained in terms of, committing to it. They should have committed to it 3 weeks ago, allowed Palace 3 weeks to get a suitable replacement in at centre-back, because the Palace deal for whatever, I can't remember the name of the player now, that collapsed in the middle of the day. And because that collapsed, I mean, Mark Gay had already done his medical for Liverpool in London. He'd already done it with Palace's permission. It was the personal terms had been agreed over a month ago with Liverpool. So, I mean, fair play to Mark Gay. He's. But then you say that Isak acts appallingly and gets his move. Mark Gay does it the right way and doesn't get his move. Now, look, he's not pleading poverty at all. He's won an FA Cup. He's going to play every minute of the season that he's fit for Palace. That will shore up his place in the England World Cup squad and team, probably. If he'd gone to Liverpool, I think he's a better player than Konate. I think he would have jumped in there and ultimately taken over from... So, you can. I'm not feeling sorry for Mark Gay, but if he had his heart set, I can only think of the person. And no disrespect to Crystal Palace, but if you're a Crystal Palace player and you've got an opportunity to sign for Liverpool, the reigning champions, you're going to want to take that jump.
Yeah.
And for Liverpool to have left it so late to submit that offer seems a bit mad. But
I'll be back in for him in January.
Yeah, a lot less money, yeah. And of course, Konate and Van Dijk will play every bloody minute in the meantime. Of course. Chris, what's your kind of assessment of our transfer window?
Well, obviously the incomings tick every box, covered every angle we needed to cover. Seeing the players go, I know we've sort of half joked about it, but having a clear out was necessary. You're talking about Chelsea, and I just imagine what the morale is like when you've got players swilling around that either don't want to be there or just aren't wanted. And we've got less of that now, and we are looking at a more leaner squad, which, can only be a good thing. So it's, not quite 10 for me, but 9.5.
Okay, what would have made it a 10?
I don't give 10s.
You're one of those teachers.
Yeah.
Have we got enough up
for
top?
50 million.
Have we got enough up top?
Well, I suppose I'm wistfully looking at Isak in a way that he was clearly wanting out, but he clearly wanted Liverpool. If there was ever a chance for us to grab him, of course I would rather have him above any other striker.
Okay.
That's my only kind of...
I did ask you this, Chris. We got Gyökeres and Eze for the same price Liverpool paid for Isak. Which option would you have preferred? That's actually happened now. I put that through as a hypothetical a few weeks ago, but it's actually transpired. So, are you happier with?
I'm happy because Eze is a dream player for me. So I have to be happy with that.
Steph, you happier with
Northern 2 for 1 every time? Better value. Come on, double bubble. Absolutely.
Okay.
Just on, you mentioned Chelsea in passing, and I've just looked at the BBC done deals list as well, and Ben Chilwell from Chelsea to Strasbourg. Now, remind me, who owns Strasbourg? Oh,
it's only
the
2 million.
Of Chelsea, isn't it?
But it's only 2 million.
What is the free? No. According to this, it's undisclosed. Of course, it bloody is undisclosed. Honestly,
Yeah, okay, but that's that one. But you can't explain Fulham and Bayern Munich.
And like you said before, Amari Hutchinson. This guy is basically, he is the human
Stop.
version.
No. Don't say it. We play Forest next.
Oh, yeah.
Stop what you're going to say.
Sorry. In that case, then I'll turn my attention to Manchester United. Manchester United, who... they signed Anthony, who is their Pepe now, and he's gone to Real Betis for 21 million, having signed him for 80. But funnily enough, when he went to Betis last season on loan, tore it up in La Liga, took Betis from a relegation fight into the European places because the culture and the environment at Man United is toxic. Also, Rasmus Højlund, gone from Man United to Napoli. Now, he was doing quite well in Italy at Atalanta before he got his move to Man United. I'm sure he'll probably do okay. I think Lukaku got an injury for Napoli, and that's why they've gone in the market again. So Højlund is likely to feature. Obviously, McTominay is there, so he'll know him from his time at Man United. Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, but yeah.
A big loss on him as well.
Yeah.
And they've still got Jadon Sancho. They've still got it's a loan to buy, an obligation. It's not an option. Yeah. So he's gone. He won't be back at United. And a huge discount on what they paid for him. 28
million, something like
that.
Yeah.
And Jadon Sancho's still there.
Did he not get his loan to Villa?
I haven't heard.
No.
I might be wrong. I haven't heard that's the case. I know that Emi Martinez, and I don't know the guy's name, the goalkeeper. Is it Lumens or Salmons? Or I can't remember the Belgian goalkeeper United have now gone for. So United now have, what do you call a group of goalkeepers? What's the collective noun for goalkeepers?
A net?
Whatever it is.
A net.
Goalkeepers?
A net of goalkeepers.
A glove.
A glove of goalkeepers.
A glove box. Sorry.
They've now got, but they're all number twos. Like, look, this bloke they've signed might be brilliant. He's 6'5", but apparently he's pretty dodgy with his feet. Isn't that the problem with? Interestingly, Donnarumma, who isn't renowned as a footballing goalkeeper, is now number one at Man City.
Wow.
What's going on with Pep?
Oh, right. So we talked about picking Martinelli possibly for the Man City game. We're just going to be lumping in crosses after cross after cross. The pressing from the front could be Martinelli, Odegaard, Madueke. That's going to be entertaining.
Can I? You just reminded me of a question I wanted to ask about the game yesterday. There was a graphic came up on the TV, and Chris, you may have remembered it better than I have. I can't remember the exact numbers, but it was something like in the previous 250 corners, or the 250 corners of last season, 4 in total were outswingers. At the time the graphic went up yesterday, we'd taken 4 outswinging corners yesterday. Obviously because Odegaard and Saka with their left foot were not on the pitch, but Madueke was on the pitch. Should he have... Because Rice's outswingers were ineffective. Liverpool did cope really quite comfortably with them. Should we have...
mixed it up a bit, yeah,
like an in-swinger. We in-swingers are far more dangerous,
especially the way we attack the box. Yeah, I don't know why Rice was on both sides, wasn't he? Was he taking all the corners?
Yeah. Odegaard took a late one, I think, because he was obviously on the pitch at the time. But Madueke's left footer. Do we have another left footer?
Not that isn't injured that I can think. Well, Calafiori.
Yeah, he wants to get his locks on the end of it, though, doesn't he?
Good game yesterday.
Okay, any other? I mean, it remains to be seen who the winners and losers are of the transfer window. Spurs signed. Oh, I never get this guy's name right. The French PSG striker.
Kolo
they signed
Muani.
I've never rated him when I've seen him. He's kind of flattered to deceive a little bit. I don't know. I may be proved wrong. Spurs got Kudus. Who else have they signed? Oh yeah, Xavi Simons. Again, like the French striker. Anytime I've seen him, when we were linked with him, and genuinely, we were linked with him about 2 months ago, I was like, no, don't want him. Anytime I've seen him play, he's not really impressed. So, Spurs, well done. What is it? Let it all work out. Is that what they said?
Yeah.
And then proceeded to have the worst game at their home ground. Because that's the thing. Thomas Frank is more functional football, which is fine if you're winning against Man City at the Etihad. Not so good when you're being beasted at home by Bournemouth and you've had one shot to their 19. We won't be doing a weekend wrap this week because, well,
You don't
we
want to.
lost. Yeah, because we lost. Anyway,
the idea
anything
is
else?
to talk about the other games, and I could talk about that Tottenham performance for quite a while.
I just want us the guys to get back after the international break with no more bloody injuries.
Anyone hear about Saliba? I haven't heard any prognosis on his. He rolled it in the warm-up. That was all I knew.
No.
A couple of weeks, wasn't it?
It better not be any more than that, because playing him then was like in a litany of managerial, I don't know, cock-ups is a bit strong, but managerial decisions that backfired, that would be right at the very top. You know, imagine he's out for 2 months now.
He has a very able deputy.
He does not, yeah, but as Steph said,
Not the point.
that's great, but I'd rather Saliba was starting
Of course.
against City and against Newcastle.
But it's not Rob Holding.
No, it's not. The floor has been lifted, absolutely.
Poor old Rob. Yeah.
Love Rob. He's at Colorado Rapids, in case you were
Enjoying it, I'm sure.
I bet
as
he
well.
is. With his beautiful hair now.
His thatch. His Turkish thatch.
So jealous.
Okay, right. Anyway, we've got a 2-week break before we're back at home to Forest. I think that's a 12:30 kickoff. Is that a 12:30 kickoff in a couple of weeks' time?
It is.
I
So
think it
early
is an
start
early
for me.
one. Yeah,
On a Sunday?
indeed. Saturday.
Oh, Chris, you're probably a doubt now, aren't you?
Don't go there.
Sorry, you're giving it all this that you were there an hour before kickoff. What's the likelihood of you being out of the house by 11:30, let alone in the ground by 11:30?
I might have to get a lift with my friend again to make sure.
He won't wait for you. He won't wait for you. We are doing a quiz podcast with the Grove group, the lads at the Grove. Do look out for that. I have no idea what it's going to, what format it's following or anything. I've got nothing to do with it. I shall be there, and I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. Richie Pauling will turn up, won't he?
Powling,
sorry. Richie
Come
Powling.
on. Richie Powling.
Is he still with us?
I hope so. He's probably
Okay.
managing Neasden FC or something, you know.
Right, it's our
I
mission
don't know.
now to try and
We
get
have to
Richie
find Richie
Powling on the
Powling.
pod.
Bring him onto the pod, please.
Yeah.
Anyone of that era. Trevor Ross. Anyone out there.
We'll do it. We'll
Find
do
it.
it. This is your life, Chris, and we'll bring him on as the big guest, the big reveal.
Please. And he has to have his 70s hair as well. He had that lovely sort of cascading 70s.
You've got a penchant for like your Calafiori of the
Nostalgia.
1973 team.
I tell you.
Oh, he'd fit into a 70s Arsenal. I'd
course
love to
he
see him
would.
in that 71 red shirt. Oh, hello.
Pure cotton.
On this note, once these boys are getting a little bit hot under the collar, I shall call a halt to proceedings. Thank you very much for listening and watching. Enjoy the 2-week hiatus from Arsenal. Do look out for our quiz pods upcoming over the weekend at some point. And in the meantime, enjoy the family for a few days before, and the friends and the social life before the Arsenal come back again, and keep your fingers and toes crossed that all our players return intact. And thank you for watching and listening. And cheerio, guys. See you again next time. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye. The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app, and find us on your socials at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by the Podcast Company.